the most common questions I get asked by puppy owners is how to stop puppy biting, especially if it's excessive. Because they have sharp needle-like teeth, it can hurt, and as they get bigger and the jaws get more powerful, obviously the bites can get worse. In fact, I've seen people with scars all over their hands and arms where they've been putting up with the puppy biting without correcting it. This is never acceptable. So why do they bite? Well, it's really a communication issue between the puppy and the recipient of the biting. Firstly, one reason may be because they're trying to get an interaction from you, trying to instigate play, much in the same way they would between their litter mates. In fact, if you've ever watched a litter of puppies play, about 80% of their interactions will involve biting of some kind. So it's a really normal behaviour for a puppy to do. Biting also helps them learn their bite inhibition. So in other words, how hard they can bite before it hurts. The recipient should yelp, the biter withdraw in empathy, and then they'll learn not to bite so hard next time. So during your first interactions with your puppy, if you were guilty of not withdrawing or correcting that behaviour when they first mouthed at your hand, for example, then all of a sudden it becomes acceptable. Puppies find a reward in play, obviously, just like children do. So when they bite and rough and tumble with each other, if the other puppy reciprocates, then it's a reward given and a behaviour that they'll then repeat. And the same can be said when they interact with a human. The other reason they can bite is effectively through excitement, overstimulation to an activity, an environment, whatever it is they're finding exciting at the time. Puppies will also protest bite. So this could be a protest against a specific activity they're undertaking. It could be a protest simply because they're tired and they want to be left alone. In some rare cases, puppies will bite because they're fearful of something. Now in these kind of cases, which are very rare for a puppy to be that fearful, they feel the need to nip, you should really consult a qualified behaviourist so they can help you with that problem. The bottom line is that biting a human is an entirely unacceptable behaviour that must be dealt with as soon as possible. So how do we discourage puppy biting? Well, firstly, don't reward it. So don't engage in play if they nip to get your attention. Don't continue to play if they nip in excitement. Instead, stop play immediately. On the flip side, do not stop an activity instantly if they nip in protest. So for example, if you're doing some obedience and they start to nip at either you or the leash, do a couple of more exercises before you stop on your terms, so they don't see that their protesting gets what they want, which is the activity to stop instantly. Otherwise you're rewarding their behaviour. If you reward a behaviour, the dog will repeat it. Remember, what you reward is what they repeat. So the worst thing you can do if a puppy bites or mouths at you is to try and distract them with a toy, food, treats, any other kind of reward. Because effectively what you're doing is rewarding them for biting. You're not redirecting the behaviour. Think about it. If every time your child swore at you, you gave them a chocolate biscuit, they're more likely to swear at you. You're rewarding a behaviour you don't want. So only on Planet Stupid would you give a dog a toy when it bites you. This is really where some inexperienced trainers get confused between rewarding and redirecting. Now, second thing is, dogs are gregarious animals, so they're social. So a great way of making a puppy realise that they've done a behaviour that you don't accept is to detach yourself from it. Now this can be done either by giving them a timeout or by you removing yourself from the environment, so leaving the room, for example. If you're going to give your dog a timeout, your puppy a timeout, it needs to be somewhere it's not fun, not somewhere they sleep. So somewhere with no toys, effectively. Certainly not the garden. It's basically the same principle as naughty step for children. Time out, somewhere not exciting. A few minutes later, release them. If they repeat the behaviour, put them back. Or remove yourself from the room, come back in after a minute or two. If they repeat the behaviour, walk out again. Okay? Now it may take repetition, because that's how dogs learn, of these kinds of corrections towards their behaviour before they fully understand the concept of what it is they are doing wrong, which is making you leave. Another option is already, if your dog's got an understanding of some basic obedience, such as a sit, first thing you normally teach a puppy, you can redirect the biting and teach them that effectively if they sit, then they will get your attention. There's a great way if they're biting you for attention reasons, to get an interaction, is to use your obedience and teach them that to sit and present themselves for your attention is far better, and it's going to get what they want rather than biting you. Before you tell them to sit though, sit, no sit, oh, it's a good girl, good girl. So there, she started to mouth at my arm trying to get my attention because I'm ignoring her. Used the sit and taught her, basically if she sits, she gets my attention. You sweetheart, you're a good girl, aren't you? Okay. Another method that can sometimes work, but unfortunately we don't speak dog very well most of the time, is that you can yelp if they mouth at you, if they bite you, much in the same way their litter mate would. But unfortunately, if we don't get the sound right, they don't really make the connection between what they've done and the sound you do. But it's worth trying, because you might just get it right and be successful. So effectively, there's various methods you can use to solve the behaviour. Remember, do not try and redirect biting with a toy or a treat. Doesn't work, you're simply rewarding it. That's the whole basis of positive reinforcement. You reward behaviours you want. You give them a treat for biting, they're going to repeat it. Okay. Remember, be consistent. Your corrections will take time. At the end of the day, you want to solve this unacceptable behaviour in the nicest possible way. So generally, the removal or the time out of yourself tends to be the best way.